After 5 years of work fighting sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, the Spotlight Initiative of the European Union and United Nations, the world's largest effort in this regard, with a total investment of over 500 million euros, has ended its run in the country and has handed its work done so far to the Nigerian government in hopes that the commitments from the government will build on the job done. Will they build on this job? We bring you this handover ceremony on our focus on the FCT. And my guest on the program takes on the challenge facing elimination of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. And yes, we have that update on what the presidency has been doing all week on our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's start by bringing you up to speed on the main stories from Nigeria's seat of power.
Earlier in the week, the Senate granted the request of President Bola Tinubu to hold a joint session of the National Assembly for presentation of the 2024 budget proposal. The approval was given during the Senate's plenary session, where the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, also announced a request from President Tinubu for consideration and approval of an updated external borrowing plan of $8.6 billion and 100 million euros.
The indulgence of the Senate to grant me the slot of 1100 hours on Wednesday, the 29th day of November 2023, to formally present the 2024 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly.
After that, President Bola Tinubu presented a 27.5 trillion naira 2024 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly. The president said the internal security architecture of the country will be overhauled as the 2024 budget will prioritize security. In the 2024 appropriation bill, recurrent expenditure is proposed at 9.92 trillion naira and debt servicing 8.25 trillion naira. Capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion naira.
I am here today confident that the National Assembly will continue to work closely with us to ensure that the deliberations on the 2024 budget are thorough but also concluded with reasonable dispatch. Our goal is for the Appropriation Act to come to effect on the 1st of January 2024.
Shortly after President Bola Tinubu presented the 2024 budget proposal, the National Assembly began work immediately with a vow to plug all loopholes and curb leakages. In separate reactions, the lawmakers acknowledged the enormous work ahead of them because the president had requested that they pass the budget in less than a month.
I don't think it's about the amount of time, it's about how we use the time. We have a constitutional duty to go line by line, issue by issue, and ensure that the numbers, agrees with the shared microeconomic objective.
That same day, President Bola Tinubu left Abuja for Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, to attend the COP28 Climate Summit, taking place on the 1st and 2nd of December 2023 under the theme Unite, Act and Deliver. The President's national statement at the summit highlights Nigeria's stance on various thematic issues, including renewable energy and climate financing at the World Leaders Summit. The President's participation in key sideline events will further support the advancement of his avowed commitment to aggressively attract foreign direct investment for enhanced wealth creation and revenue expansion in the country. Earlier in the week, before leaving for Dubai, the president swore in 8 new permanent secretaries, recently appointed after successfully scaling the Federal Civil Service selection process. The swearing-in ceremony was held before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting, which held at the council chamber of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The new permanent secretaries include Ndakayo Aishetu Dogo, Adeoye Adeleye Ayodeji, Rima Nura Abba, Bako Deborah Ode, Omachi Roland Omenka, Ahmed Dunoma Umar, Wati Tinuke and Ella Nicholas Agbo. President Bola Tinubu has reiterated his administration's commitment to transforming Nigeria into a manufacturing economy. He says access to capital for manufacturers is a priority for his government. President Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, was speaking at the ongoing 2023 Engineering Conference, Exhibition and Annual General Meeting of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Abuja.
Our administration requires your support to harness the immense opportunities in front of us and to turn the promise of renewed hope into reality for the generality of our people. I once again offer you my solemn promise that I am committed to providing the enabling environment for every policy, legislation, and action required for this to happen.
In the area of access to capital, the President has directed the creation of a new single-digit interest rate fund to provide 75 billion naira to support manufacturing enterprises, among other targeted financial interventions. As you are also all aware, the Central Bank of Nigeria, now under a new management, is back to prioritizing its core mandates of inflation management and exchange rate stability.
Welcome back. This week in the nation's capital, we saw the handover ceremony of the Spotlight Initiative to the Nigerian government. The work to end sexual and gender-based violence is literally God's work, and we hope the pressure is continued to ensure that legislation that protects victims are enacted. Well, we got some commitments from the federal government at this handover ceremony. Take a look.
So sing a song for women.
The Spotlight Initiative, an intervention to combat sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, has ended its run in the country after 5 years and has handed its work done so far to the Nigerian government. The initiative, a collaboration between the European Union and the United Nations, is considered the world's largest effort in this regard, with a total investment of over 500 million euros.
In providing protection for survivors of GBV.
Panel discussions are just a part of the events heralding the end of the initiative in Nigeria, which has supported a Nigeria where all women and girls, particularly the most vulnerable, live free from violence and harmful practices.
When we bundle you to the police station, we will collect your sample. Then you will tell me whether we have evidence or not.
Madam Spotlight, do you have weakness?
Yeah?
Who see me? Don't ask my wife. Only.
I will say the truth. I will say the truth. I will not cover you anymore. I will say the truth. Officer.
Yes.
Officer, it is true.
With the dramatizations over, we hear testimonials from beneficiaries of the initiative across the country.
I have a friend who has a wife, and the wife is pregnant. We go into arrangement of a marriage when that child is still inside the belly. Arrangements are concluded for that child to be given out for marriage, even though she has not seen the light of the day. And if, unfortunately, that pregnancy does not bring up a girl child, I will have to wait for the next pregnancy. And I will continue waiting like that until a girl is born. So when Light Initiative came and opened our eyes, so to say, we saw need that there was a change and that system was barbaric. And happily, the message took its root immediately. And as I'm talking to you now, I am proud to announce that that system has been abolished.
I really thank Spotlight Initiative. 1, second chance education build my life. Second chance education make me to be someone in life. I never think that I will be in this Congress today. But with the help of second chance education, I'm here with different faces, different tribes. Thank you, Spotlight Initiative. And I want to be one of beneficiaries that give thanks, that show what she have learned. I learned literacy, I learned numeracy, and I learned life skills. I learned gender-based violence because I don't know what is gender-based violence. It's through second chance education that I know all this.
The focus then shifts to the need to have a commitment, especially from government, that the work will not stop.
The momentum that we have created must be built on. The progress must be safeguarded. So the spotlight must stay on gender-based violence. But at the end of the day, it was Nigerian actors who've driven this, and we have supported you. So in a way, Nigerian actors, including government, are handing over to themselves. We're not handing over. We are, yes, I hope that does really deserve a round of applause, because that's what will make it sustainable. If government, if the women's movement, if traditional and religious leaders continue what they've done over the last 5 years, we in the United Nations remain committed to supporting you in this effort. So in that sense, we will try to contribute towards sustainability.
The European Union reminds guests at the event of the financial commitments made so far, progress recorded, and the need for continuance.
Out of these 500 million euros, 25 million have been allocated to support the fight against gender-based violence in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the program has tested a new holistic approach that brought all actors together and allowed to achieve critical results. A record number of states, 35, have passed the VAP Act, making it the fastest bill to be passed at subnational level in the history of Nigeria. And congratulations to all those that have made this possible. Almost all states have also passed the Child Rights Act. I think this deserves a second round of applause. From 11 sexual assault referral centers in 10 states in 2017, there are now 40 SARCs in 20 states in 2023 as a result of a combined multi-actor and multi-donor effort. This is a huge progress since the first Mirable Center was established in Lagos more than 10 years ago. Justice is and will remain critical to end impunity for gender-based violence. And we are pleased that the Spotlight Initiative helped catalyze change. Following the example of Lagos, several states have established special SGBV courts, Adamawa, Edo, Anambra, the FCT, among others.
As the Nigerian government takes over from where the Spotlight Initiative has stopped, the Attorney General of the Federation makes several commitments.
The intervention under the EU Spotlight Initiative, which brought together the commissioners of police and lead state prosecutors from around the country to examine and compile a comprehensive understanding of how the legal frameworks, judicial system responses, and public policies contribute to the perpetuation or resolution of gender-based violence. That event showed the power of bringing key government agencies together to ensure that they illuminate the path towards a future where every woman and girl can live free from any form of violence and discrimination. Furthermore, the ministry within the next few weeks will be launching a standard operating procedure, SOP, for the prosecution of school-related gender-based violence in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education. As we celebrate these achievements, let us also recognize that the impact of our collective efforts extends far beyond the lifespan of this initiative. The seeds of change have been sown, and it is our responsibility to nurture and sustain the progress we have made. The Federal Ministry of Justice remains committed in upholding the principles of justice, equality, and human rights, ensuring the legacy of the Spotlight Initiative lives on the fabric of our society.
As the activism to end sexual and gender-based violence continues in Nigeria, Spotlight hopes that the Nigerian government will build on its legacy, deepen conversations, and ensure more legislation encompassing the need for gender equality.
My guest on the program is the UN Women Country Representative to Nigeria and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Ms. Beatrice Eyong. According to her, 14% of women in Nigeria have experienced physical violence. Now, at the core of all cases of sexual and gender-based violence is the issue of inequality. And she tells us there is a coordinated attempt to stifle the equality conversation. Please watch this. Madam Beatrice Eyong, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I've been listening to you talk all week, really, since the 16 days of activism started, 16 days of activism against sexual and gender-based violence. And you've been very vocal about a lot of things. So let's begin. The last time I heard you talk, you were talking about, the impact of sexual and gender-based violence on individuals, communities, and the nation at large. I mean, talk to us a bit about this situation and why governments, especially the government of Nigeria and Africa, should take this very seriously.
Yes, thank you for bringing me on. Gender-based violence has detrimental effects on the person herself or himself. Actually, somebody who has really passed through gender-based violence, sometimes you lose your self-esteem, sometimes you don't believe in anything. You just feel like you're useless. Some have even committed suicide. So if you have 1 million of those kind of people, then your economy is not going to be productive.
We're going to get to legislation that is necessary, to do this. But I want to talk a bit about some of the interventions that have been done. One of the UN-sponsored interventions is the Spotlight Initiative, and we're seeing them close out the work that they have in the country. Could you talk to us a bit about some of the challenges that we're faced? I mean, we've heard everyone, Miss Isopi, and a lot of other people talking about the amount of work that has been done, the amount of money that has been spent. What I want to hear are the challenges with the implementation of some of the, programs pushed by Spotlight in their time in Nigeria.
Yeah, the first thing I would like to say is that it is the name Spotlight that is gone. But the fight against gender-based violence remains. In terms of challenges is the first thing was to even make people to understand that there's a relationship, a negative relationship, a detrimental relationship between gender-based violence and the achievement of the SDGs. So Spotlight Initiative was that initiative that brought that to light, to the highest level, from the Secretary General down to all of us, the donors from their own part and even governments, to realize that if gender-based violence is not handled, we cannot achieve sustainable development goals. So to make people understand was that challenge. So there was a knowledge gap, information gap in terms of the consequences of gender-based violence. But we also have the challenge, especially when it comes to social norms. Social norms is something we grew with it. You and myself, we grew through a socialization process where they have constantly shown that it is the men or the boys who are supposed to lead, who are supposed to be in decision-making positions. We've grown through that process to such a point where some women even believe that it is true. Some women believe. That's why you see some women who don't vote for women, because some of them, they have been structured to believe that it is the man's role, to rule. So challenging that social norms is a very difficult task because it involves changing of minds, changing of behaviors, It takes time. That has been a challenge, and that remains a challenge. We have had people like traditional leaders, religious leaders, who are now at the forefront calling for an end to gender-based violence, you see, because they themselves have also come to realize that it has a negative effect. 2 weeks or so ago, we were with the traditional rulers from the south and from the north, who sat together to identify harmful practices to be abolished. So we did a mapping with them in their policies, and we brought them to validate. They validated it. The next step is to take public actions to stop it in their communities. And also the other challenges is also the fact that the services, you know, it's difficult. It is still our culture that if I'm raped, I go and say I am raped. It's difficult because they will stigmatize not the man, but they will stigmatize the woman. You see, and so it has been a challenge to how to make parents see that it's not a family matter. Yes, when somebody rapes somebody, it's not a family matter. I heard somebody say, once you rape a girl, we will just allow you to marry the girl. And I was saying, that doesn't solve the problem. It means if a young man sees a beautiful girl somewhere, and he wants that girl and the girl doesn't want, what he just needs to do is to rape her.
Knowing that she'll be given to him
in marriage. So I was saying, no, that's not the solution. But these are things that are happening. So we have the challenges of how to make survivors, victims, to come and report. And how to make those institutions where you have to report, receive. Because sometimes you go to a police station or wherever to say, were you not the one dressing with a short gown? Were you not the one? Did you shout? Before you even can tell your story, they have asked you a lot of questions that just makes you to be silent.
Talked about a coordinated attempt to push back the progress that has been made in the equality conversation. And when we say equality, we're talking about equality between the genders, and of course, access to growth and development for the genders. You said this was a coordinated attempt. In what way is it coordinated?
I think it's coordinated because we see it over and over. We're seeing it occurring, not only in Nigeria, it's everywhere. We see it. In some countries, it's even coordinated by the institutions that be, you see, because, but all this is because of lack of understanding about the issue of equality. There are problems, even in Nigeria. Some people don't want to hear the word equality. When you talk about gender equality, it's like, it's something that has to be pushed back. How would you talk about gender equality? It's a pushback because people think we are saying that men should become women and women should become men. Equality in our sense is equal rights, equal opportunities. The truth is that no two human beings are equal, but they should have fair treatment, respect, equal opportunities. I shouldn't be sent out of school or taken away from school just because I'm a woman. That's what we are saying.
Well, with that, we do come to the end of this interview. We could talk for a very long time. I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about as the months go by.
No problem. We are available.
Thank you so much for speaking with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. The concept of violence is alien to a lot of us. There's a massive chasm between being upset with someone and actually touching that person. And if you randomly leap over that chasm, you need help, professional help. As we continue the 16 days of activism to end sexual and gender-based violence this year, we unite, invest to prevent violence against women and girls. While governments do what they must and activists do what they should, we leave you with a simple tip. Keep your hands to yourself. No matter how you feel, How aggravated you are, male or female, keep your hands to yourself, especially when you're upset. You can thank me later. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Magwa. See you next time.